I think
This
we
is great.
organically just
Oh,
moved
go ahead.
into the second question.
I was just
What
going to say,
changes?
this is great because we organically went to the second one, which is what changes can we as legal professionals make towards the improvement of the legal industry? So that was great. That was great, guys. This is topic number 2. Technology, we all know, is obviously going to play a huge part into this. And I think the pandemic, for me anyway, just to put my 2 cents in the conversation, the pandemic for me just expedited the inevitable and pushed people to limits to where they knew they needed to go. Like I would go to the courthouses with my attorneys and I can see who the innovator was and who wasn't. I automatically knew that this attorney was on it. They had their tablet, they had their files already in there. They're not bulking in boxes and boxes. Adam knows the story about me and my pregnant, both of us were pregnant. We're lugging, trial folders and lugging everything. And we're both I was 4 months and she was 3 months pregnant. And it was ridiculous lugging all this, for trial and hearings and things like that. That's no more. I literally see like the last attorney I worked with, he literally went to court with a tablet. Like he was there, all his files were in his tablet. It looked just like a file. And that's really the new way, I think, anyway. I mean, not for everyone. I know I'm still a pen and paper. I love my pen and paper. I love my journaling. There's always room for, we always can, the ebook versus the real book, right? We can always go to that. But technology has its place. And
I think with technology, it also goes back to what Jaclyn said. Remove the fluff.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
A $30,000 practice management system that is only serving you in-house doesn't work anymore. There's a new model now that, we've hit this pandemic, and it is about secure access to all of our cases all the time on any device, no matter what. If I lose internet, I need a secondary access. If I lose that cellular and I lose internet, I need a third access. And I think that where, we should help this industry is designing systems that are effective, designing cost-effective systems. I mean, when I started teaching people how to use Microsoft 365 and execute those applications that we're already used to in terms of legal case practice management, I mean, we shouldn't have had to go to the point where we hit a pandemic and then we fix it. I mean, I was appalled at the fact that Cook County, Chicago, one of the biggest court, systems, they completely fell to their knees during the pandemic. And I was getting emails from judges that were from Gmail. And I was like, are you kidding me? Are you, judge, are you seriously emailing me from Gmail account? Yes, because they weren't prepared for that. And you shouldn't wait for technology to be broken before you fix it, because when you empower your people with the technology, you are empowering them to do their job more effectively and more productively.
Bianca, I know you want to say something.
So let me get out my old lady cane. I
knew she was going to say something. I'm like, oh man, we're going to get it.
No,
Mama's coming out.
Well, I'm 65 and magnificent.
You look beautiful. Nobody would ever know.
And I've been in the legal industry 37 years. Some of you are not even 37 years old. So and I'm not faltering anything, but when I went into the legal industry, I introduced the first fax machine. Okay. My background is writing in Cobalt. I was one of 2 women in 1974 in a computer class. So I am innovative.
Go girl.
But it is, everything everyone said is true. Kicking and screaming into the new wave, the new world. The law firm I went to in 1983, we were ahead of Greenberg Traurig in all our systems. Can you imagine? They were calling me for those systems. However, in 1983, I tried to get people to go paperless. 1983, okay?
A little bit ahead of your time. Just 4
That's
decades.
what we talk about. In 1974, we were talking about going paperless. You guys think that you're innovative. We were innovative, but guess what? The old man wore his shoes out till he had holes in them. And that's still the situation. I'm in a firm, 35 people. We are just going paperless now. And everything that you said about things falling through the cracks, right now, what I'm witnessing in these firms and trying to bring the innovation, trying to bring the rules, the regulations, the procedures, the process, the playbooks of how people should be working virtually and or in the office. I've been doing this now for 17 years and people are not ready. So those of you that were learneth, like my 23-year-old lives and breathes technology, right? My 25-year-old too. We have decades to get where we need to go because unfortunately, and it will be, look, the old guys, they were wondering how they're going to retire. They're just going to be pushed out of the industry. And
how they're going to retire.
I know literally of 5 law firms that have closed their doors that were very successful 35, 40 years. They didn't even try to sell their business. They didn't even try to do anything because it would have been crazy, right? And I feel terrible because I could have helped them segue out of the industry by giving someone else an opportunity. But as you said, the mindset, Jaclyn, you're on point. The mindset, we're in the, we still have the old dogs and the new dogs. And
I think there's a space here though, Bianca. There's a space for the people on the call though, here to help that whole segment of people who are over 30, because I've got clients who are not even 45-ish.
Tread lightly, Adam, tread lightly.
No, and they're having trouble with the technological component of preparing for trial. And I
agree. I've seen a lot of younger people coming out of college that are not prepared for the technology that they need to be. I was rather surprised to see how lacking they were in those sort of abilities. I mean, they can tell me all day where to find my DM, but they can't tell me how to format a Word document.
Well, this leads back to
Excel.
the people.
What's up with the Excel spreadsheet? Like nobody trains in Excel anymore. Like I had a whole segment in my paralegal studies about Excel spreadsheets and reports and all that stuff. And apparently that's not a thing right now.
But I think that older attorneys also need to think that this isn't an I'm old dog, I can't learn new tricks sort of thing. That we can't have that sort of mindset anymore. I'm 41. My first operating system was DOS. I learned how to type on a typewriter and not a computer. And I had no choice but, to figure out my way through this crazy legal industry, just like anybody else. But I think with people leaving for the pandemic and coming back, we're actually seeing people who took that time to learn. To make the most of their time from the pandemic and hop onto YouTube and to hop on to things like, Thinkific and Skillshare and to level up their game in technology. And, I saw a meme the other day of the techiest lawyers were the most hireable lawyers. And those were the people that knew both, Mac and PC. Those were the people who knew about the technology and how to do remote depositions. And those are the most hireable people.
But I don't want to steal anybody's thunder here. I just want to remind us all of the question that we're trying to answer here, which is what can we do, the people on the call here, what can we do to improve the legal community moving forward? And so I think what we can try to maybe spend a minute trying to do, and I know Nate, you're going to, and Bianca, you are going to as well, so I'll finish, but is to focus on how we can help the stragglers. Because the people who are advanced, like you were talking, Misty, I think they're doing okay. They're going to figure things out. But there are a whole bunch of stragglers that just, they're excellent at what they do. They're geniuses at what they do, and they shouldn't be left behind. And I think there's a distinct role for the people on this call, each in our own space, to help them into this new era. So anyway, I'll give it back to Nate. And
no, but I agree with you, Adam, and I think that comes from the basis of education and pumping as much education out to the market as possible, whether it's through podcasts like this, discussions amongst your clients or just being on LinkedIn, but it's all about the basis of education and global awareness of what's out there and what resources and support is out there. And also embracing technology, like we've said it quite a few times. I mean, I think that is a very much a key point. The interesting thing about technology, in my opinion, is as time progresses, the technology improves and does become a little more user-friendly. So, you know, at some point, I mean, everybody, I'm sure in this call can operate an iPhone at this point, you know? So that's a good thing. So all that learning curve, I think, as more technology gets pumped out there, eventually the technology improves, it becomes more user-friendly, and then also becomes more cost-effective in some ways. So it's one of those things that you really just can't avoid, but if you can educate, take down the level of fear, and get people encouraged to embrace technology, I think we're all better for it as professionals and for as far as an industry as a whole.
And I think it's also upon the delivery, the way we deliver information. I've noticed that my podcast, I only opened it in January. It hasn't even been a year. We're already #2 right below Paralegal Voice. We're already #7 on Google. So I think at the end of the day, even though I am, and I know Misty hates this word, educating people, she's teaching me to say empower. But yeah, I know, see, yeah, she gave me the thumbs up. But empower people, it's not, the information I give on my platform and you guys provide on your platform, it's repurposed. Let's be real. We get it from the ABA, we get it from the Florida bars, our local bars, we get it from the policies and procedures. I mean, we get our information from somewhere. We're not making this content up, right? Like, we are obviously getting it from somewhere. But I think why we thrive in our industry, each individually here, is the way we deliver the information. And I think that is important because I know, especially now, my kids coming in, going into school, they learn completely different. You know, we have visual learners. We have people that have photogenic memories. Like my father, he could tell you exactly what paragraph, what page, what it said. You know, so different ways of learning require different delivery of information. And go ahead, Bianca.
Okay, so here's a big change in the legal industry from my point of view. Now, when I'm hiring attorneys, I don't even ask them about school as the first question or about their history. The first question I ask them is, what are your technology skills like? And I mean, I go in depth and they'll go, oh, Microsoft, you know, Pro, whatever. Okay, can you do a pivot chart on Excel? No. Okay, can you do this? Can you do that? And just as simple as, can you format a letter? Like what Misty said, you know, no, they can't. And to be honest with you, because of where we're going, they have to know this because they're going to be by themselves. They're not going to always have someone to do this work for them. So my clients, they were like, why are you asking attorneys these questions? And every time we don't, that person doesn't even last 90 days. So that in itself, I think it has to come, you know, they have to be willing. The intelligence is one thing, but they have the adaptability to work on their own is another thing. And I believe you can teach old dogs new tricks. I will tell you,
right.
I was at one of the top attorneys, can't tell you his name, to come to his home to train him because he was in space. And so right there, they want to learn, but they need the right direction and the right delivery and someone that, you know, is a gentle giant in the industry to help.
Bianca, do you find that there's a fear as you know, maybe there's an older or more seasoned attorney and more technology gets pumped out there, you know, they don't want to be exposed because they haven't, you know, they're just not familiar with the technology. I mean, how would you approach somebody that's a little more seasoned and you want to be maybe gentle with the ego, but also approach them in a I guess a nice and professional way?
She's great at doing that, by the way. Amazing.
Yeah, maybe tips or techniques on that. I'd just be curious.
The first thing I do is I ask them what they need to learn. Because if I could teach them what they need to learn and they have success, then they want more.
Okay.
And I spoon feed them gently because they like to write everything down. You know, that yellow pad, they all have them. They write everything down. So you have to, that's why I've been developing like playbooks for, even how to answer the telephone. And I've been doing that since 1990. So I think a good coach has a playbook. And so once I figure out what it is the needs are, that's where I start. But to get anyone to learn computers, and I don't want to get off topic, but during the pandemic, there's a group called Sophia, and it is senior citizen learning. I was very, very upset about how distant our seniors were from their families. And I joined on there, and I was teaching every 6 weeks how to use Microsoft, Gmail, everything, internet, etc. And I had people as old as 80 years old on that.
I had to do that for my grandfather. I had to do that and teach him how to do that. Kristen, did you want to say something? I'm sorry. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, in terms of the changes that I'd like to see, a couple things, 100% accountability in terms of not, pointing fingers about where things have gone wrong. At this point, I've taught as an adjunct undergrads, I've taught law students, and now I'm teaching my own associates and people that I train. And there is a lot of, this person didn't teach me what I needed to know. This person should know what they need to know to get up to speed and actually produce in my company. There's got to be this 100% accountability on all sides. So 100% accountability for the employee to do their job and be very dogged about learning what they need to learn. Tech skills, soft skills are important. So is all of the core competencies. You've got to have them all, period. But the employer also needs to take 100% accountability for investing in their people. I like that conversation around how much is it going to cost me to pay to train all of these people? And I like the response of how much is it costing you not to? And so there has to be this shared mindset around your people are an investment, whether they stay with you for years or not. And if you don't train them on these things, the fact is probably no one else did. And so you're trying to hire for a unicorn human lawyer that doesn't exist, or professional, paralegal or otherwise. Your people have to be an investment. And I'd like to see 100% accountability from the standpoint of business owners, law firm owners, to that degree.
I love it. I love it. Yes, girl, preach. I can go on this all day. Yeah. Now you know I love her so much.
I saw her feverishly writing things down, and I was like, I can't wait for her to talk.
Yeah, no, she has this thing that when she gets excited, she starts writing it down, and so that's how I know it's. Yeah, I know you so well.
Yellow pad syndrome.
Yeah.
Hey, I have one. Stop saying that. I literally have one right now. Jaclyn, you do a lot of onboarding and a lot of interviewing and a lot of training. You yourself have a podcast as well. So tell us a little bit about those types of. Yeah, go you. Little plug.
Yeah, no, I haven't actually contributed to my podcast anything in a month because I never know what I want to do. That's why I'm a good entrepreneur. I bounce all over the place. I'm actually very shocked how technology forward this conversation went. I'm not saying that rude. That isn't what I expected, which was super exciting for me because I think that if I shared my age, I'd probably disqualify myself from this group to have a conversation. So it's so funny that I'm probably the youngest one here and I have no input on technology whatsoever. I absolutely with my clients and when we're getting them with a virtual staff, just in case none of you know, I do run a virtual staffing agency. I staff people up with contractors, firms up with contractors. And we definitely conversations about technology is very much present, but I'm pretty basic when it comes to it. I started in my law firm as a paralegal that we did all paper. We had no case management system. Everything was stored in our heads. So I'm used to doing both. But I am kind of an industry disruptor. I know Misty didn't like that, but I kind of like that.
I love it. I'm totally using that. I'm going to make a shirt and I'm going to mail you one. I'm going to mail Jaclyn one. You are. I
think I'm going to own that for a moment and say, I think where I'm at with what changes we as legal professionals can make towards the improvement of the legal industry is to become more professionals in general. So I love employees, and I love businesses that invest in employees and bring them up and develop them. I'm not going to say that I don't think that still doesn't have a place, even post-pandemic, pre-Delta, whatever we are right now.
Wherever we're at.
Well, nowhere, so it's kind of irrelevant to me mostly. So I think that it's really important for us to recognize that all of us here are talking about becoming the solution, where we have to realize the problem in a lot of ways. And the problem plus solution equals business, which creates entrepreneurship, and it creates business owners, and it creates business to business type of work. And I think one of the main things, just working with my clients, and the same theme of clients I inadvertently or on purpose, I don't know, try to attract, is they all come to me with so much frustration in their employees, and people that want to call themselves paralegals. I mean, this is a paralegal group, people that want to call themselves paralegals that just don't show up in a way like that, which kind of gives a different vibe. So I actually I did run, I'm not sure if I'm still going to do it, but a paralegal entrepreneur circle where I am training people to become paralegal freelancers, business owners, etc., because it is such a huge need for law firms to have access to professionals. And that's not just paralegals, it's across the board, because nothing kills a firm more than staff that just doesn't give about their job and comes in and just does the thing, but then demands remote work, but then isn't working remotely, and which is frustrating them and scaring them and making the pandemic even 10 times worse, to where we're not going to have firms in business anymore if we don't show up in that way. So I really think it's the wave of time for those paralegals out there, for those administrators out there, for the consultants, whatever you are, to shine and to step up and say, I'm going to share your visions and values. Our business to business model is going to line up. I want your business to succeed probably just as much as you do, because that gives me business, and to really connect one another and ride the wave of change. And again, going back to it, like, get rid of the fluff, because as a recruiter, I deal with hundreds of paralegals every single quarter. It's very frustrating to deal with those fluffy ones that don't actually want to show up as professionals. And it's killing the legal industry. It's killing access to justice, because law firms can't afford what it takes to staff their firm anymore, because nobody wants to actually work. Paralegals need to up level. We need to up level. We need to rise to the occasion and say, here we are. It's time to take us seriously, the ones that need to be taken seriously as professionals that can actually change this industry. Why can lawyers go out there and create their own solo practices, but paralegals can't? Let's do that and watch how it changes. Sorry to get off track.
No, you literally just gave me chills right there, because obviously, you know, above all people at Misty, literally that's our slogan, changing the legal industry from the inside out. So what you just said is the epiphany of the Let's Talk Paralegal mission and movement. And it was the whole purpose why I decided to leave my beloved client, Bianca knows who that is, and literally, you know, take the plane and just go all the way. So that's actually a really good segue, because now we're talking about how the legal profession and how different do you view it, right? Because we're legal professionals, so we're in it, right? We're in it day to day. We see the nitty gritty. We see how hard the blood, sweat, and tears that every person in the legal industry is going through. How do you view it with the world and all the issues at hand right now, right? Because we're in the middle of a pandemic, yeah, great. But there's other social discrepancies. I'm not gonna get too into it, but there's other issues out there. And I know for me personally, I'll start this off because this is personal to me. And like I said, it's literally our slogan. The whole purpose why I did the Let's Talk Paralegal movement was to change the legal industry. But the only way we can truly do that is by changing ourselves, by giving our inner preparation, by educating the future of the legal industry, by enhancing the current ones and the present, you know, everything and whatever it is that we need to do in order to better ourselves and also move that forward. I think that is the best way we can change all these other, like you were saying about justice, suffering, because we're not able to provide that type of service that the client so needs, right? The whole purpose that these clients come to us is because they have a legal matter and they have a legal issue that they need to get resolved, and they themselves cannot do it. Whether it's lack of education, whether they don't have the licensing, whether they just don't know how to. Obviously, that's why they come to us to take care of those issues. But if we're not prepped for the war, how are we going to win it, right? So go ahead, anybody, wave your hand.
If I can just jump in there. Oh, I think Stephen, maybe I should give you.
Yeah, go ahead, Stephen. You haven't spoken. You've been super quiet, which is weird.
I'll be quick, I promise. So along the lines of what Jaclyn was saying, the professionalism. So I serve on a Florida bar committee, and honestly, one of the things that is just stunning to me is here we are as legal professionals, and you all in the peripheral businesses that support us. We have this immense obligation, this incredible duty to our clients. And I've found that there are a lot of folks in our business that, as Jaclyn said, it's like, there's this there's this inconsistency that exists in terms of who's a paralegal and who's a legal assistant. And I was a paralegal at some other firm, but maybe I'm not qualified to call myself a paralegal. Whatever the case is, I have found that, unfortunately, sometimes the clients suffer because the standard isn't there. And sometimes what we need to be doing, and talk about how we see the world, I see how some of these folks try to portray themselves as legal professionals, and they're frankly not qualified to do so. And so I think all of us that are in the business, we have this incredible obligation to keep that standard high. If you ever look at what the Florida Bar releases every month, there are attorneys that get disbarred and admonished on a very regular basis. So the public many times has this preconceived notion of who we are, and that some of us are, again, this stigma of like us not always being, straightforward and truthful and everything else, which is.
Well, Hollywood doesn't help either. I mean, with all the
doesn't.
movies and how they portray the legal industry, it doesn't help either.
No, but I will say that through education and through being able to talk to our clients, many of the clients at our firm, for example, are people, as we touched on, that come to us with a need. They need help with something, a legal matter that they can't handle on their own. Mm-hmm. So we have to be that standard and be able to show them that we're honest and that we're going to take care of their legal need in a way that is respectful and that is going to be up to an ethical standard that is very high. So I wanted to be brief, but I wanted to add that because Jaclyn, you made a great point, and I see that quite frankly a lot, and it bothers me. So thank you.
Excellent.
Adam, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to mention the survey that you had asked me to talk about previously, but in this context. So I think I kind of see it as our job to allow paralegals, and we work with hundreds and hundreds of paralegals in many different states and have for decades. And I kind of see it as our mission to allow them to invest their time in excellence, in becoming excellent and being excellent at what they do. And this is what I was saying to you, Eda, when we had our interview about the survey that we did with 360 of the paralegals that we've worked closely with for years. And we asked them certain questions and got responses, and we were comparing those responses to try to understand what their needs are and how we can help them be better and at what they do and be more. And all of them came back and said, the majority of them came back and said that they wanted to be more efficient, more efficient and more effective, and that they had a lack of time. So it was a time management issue and a lack of control over the time that they did have. They were surprised by their bosses or by the trial process, whatever. So that's where I think we come in, and I can speak, I think, for a few people here on the call, is that we can help reduce that load that a paralegal or an attorney has on their shoulders, by alleviate that by doing it for them at a low fee or for free. In our case, and I think Nate as well, you were mentioning that. So, and that allows them to do what? It allows paralegals to focus on what they've been trained to do, on what we can't do, and what the attorney is not able to do. So it allows the paralegal to spend their time focused, 100% of their time, doing what makes them most efficient and makes them most effective, and what makes them potent as an employee and as a staff member and as part of the litigation process. So I think I see that as a mission for ourselves, and I think I can speak for some of you as well. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I think walking away from this, this circle of wonderful people here is the motto of what we have to remember is change is an inside job. You know, it's all of us who are going to make that happen. And the stigma is there for the attorneys, and it's kind of like the IRS agent. Nobody wants to talk to an IRS agent, you know, no, nobody wants to talk to an attorney. But to change that stigma, we have to be the change, and change is an inside job.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And I love what Jaclyn said, remove the fluff, right? Which is kind of what Adam and Nate and everybody has been echoing, is really removing all that unnecessary tasks, or, you know, like you said, you can manage your time better when you know what to do with your time, right? Because if you're getting pulled all different ways, and, you know, like constant, that's a lack of time management on their end, which then creates a trickle effect. And then we now see that as normal, and that should not be. We should all be on the same page. We should all be strategizing together these cases. That's literally our job. That's why we are called the legal support team. We are here to support the licensed practitioner. So these roundtables and what we're doing today, all these conversations are great, but we need to implement this, and we need to spread that word. And, you know, I know Misty and Jaclyn, they do a lot of consulting. Steve does a lot of mentoring for paralegals and legal professionals in general, because we're in the same program, so I know that. I know Bianca does a lot of mentorship. And us sitting on boards like Kristen, you know, we, by sitting literally or figuratively at these tables and having these conversations and taking those actions, is, I think, where the real change is going to happen. We can talk all day until we're blue, but we need to, you know, take that action at the end of the day.
Well, and I'd like to just like take it one step further, because I think Stephen and I are on the exact same page with everything in how, and then I'll chime down, but as a legal professional, how do I view the world and the issues at hand differently? Is there's such a deep rooted frustration for me that law firms don't have access, or they're not finding their access to people that actually want to work. Because, and I have said, like, I can tell you early on in my career, in what I'm doing now and recruiting, and people begging me for jobs, and I got to work from home. This sounds amazing. And then I'm pestering them every week. Like, are you going to get on the clock, or are you did you just think that I was going to pay you for nothing? You know, that's the beauty in contract work. You got to work to get money. You're not salaried. You can't sit and watch makeup tutorials while everybody's at court, right?
Hey, I'm learning.
I enjoy my makeup tutorials. I don't know.
Really, it's finding people that really actually want to work. And that doesn't mean, like, I'm not saying work until you die and work to the bone's end. There's entrepreneurship, there's business ownership. If you show up and step up into this industry in a way that differentiates you from those that just want a job, and they get on these Facebook groups and they complain about their firms, and all they do is talk negatively about the lawyers and the staff in their firms. If you show up differently than them, you're going to get away from a 9-to-5. You are going to become a very well sought after professional in this industry that's actually changing the face of the industry. Like, I actually feel with what I do in my day-to-day work is changing these law firms' ability to provide adequate representation to their clients. I have a paralegal that's teaching a lawyer how to process Medicaid applications correctly. She's actually teaching him how to do that. So in that event, he's providing better services to the public. And if we look at what we're here for, just like doctors and nurses and everybody, they're there to save people's lives and promote community health. We're here to promote the legal health of our country as well. And we're a part of that process, just like the nurse is part of that process, to the doctor, to the surgeon, to the healthcare management professionals. We all have a place in it. And it's really, really important that we step out of the like crappy, I hate my job, screw it type of mentality, and become those professionals that law firms desperately need. And it's sad to see how little access they have to them.
Jaclyn, I agree. And I think that the mindset and the view is just like a legal professional or medical professional, or even as a vendor, is to embrace your career and your mindset that this is a practice. There's always going to be new information. You're always going to be improving. There's a ton of information. There's information that you have that somebody else doesn't have, and vice versa. And then you take ownership of your career, and it's genuine and it's real, and you're providing something of value. And to get that mindset, especially of some of those folks that you were kind of describing, gets them out of that that mindset of just say it's a 9 to 5, or I can do it from time to time, because they're investing in themselves and they're seeing a positive end result, and it's reflecting back on them. So I think that's the big differentiator, and probably a differentiator of all of us who are on this call today, is that we are engaged and we are viewing ourselves as professionals and seeing things as a practice. So
Bianca, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. You know, one of the things that I had written down for the question number 3, which is, you know, as a legal profession changes, you know, the view of the world and the view of our clients, and a couple of you touched on that, and we're all in the business of having clients. The law firm is made up of clients, and we can't forget that side of it, because what they're going through is another whole change as well. Working with one of my insurance defense firms, most of those adjusters and professional adjusters and, you know, the carrier itself, they're all over the place. I mean, sometimes they're not in the office. There's no one to visit. They're bombarded by phone calls, bombarded by emails. And I find one of the things we started doing is trying to make their job easier, and just doing that checkup since the pandemic happened. How are you doing? Not going to ask for more business, not going to ask for anything of them.
Yep.
And that mindset, changing that mindset, that every single time you're talking to someone, you're asking for business or you're looking for business, that in itself is a huge paradigm shift that has to happen in the industry. For me, I'm always asking, how can I help? I never sell my services. I've never sold my services. And it's really important to take a 4,000-foot view of everything that you're doing, because the moving parts still make up the sum, and everyone is integral to every single thing. But finding the right part for each wheel is really important. And there's a lot of people, as you said, Jaclyn, and in your industry and everyone on the call, for me, there's a lot of people in the wrong positions. But that doesn't
I always say that. I literally,
I'm sorry, Eda. That doesn't mean you go in, and you saw me in action, Eda, at that one firm. I literally took the same moving parts and gave them new positions, and all of a sudden we were rolling down the road in the same direction. So I never throw out the baby with the bathwater, because really most people are good people and they want to do a good job. You just have to, like Eda said, give them boots on the ground with the ammunition, with, you know, everything that they need to go forward. And accountability, Kristen, that's my job. That is my biggest part of my job, is making people accountable in a digestible way. Like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
I love it.
What did you say to me, Bianca, when we met the first time? You said to me, and if I misquote here, tell me, but you said that you see it as one of your missions to elevate others.
That's my whole mission.
And that stuck with me. That stuck with me forever. That was very inspiring. So
it's all about pulling people up. Sometimes you have to push them up for them to get to a place that they thought wasn't attainable. And my sweet spot is legal, but I'm happy to say I'm able to do that across the board.
She's just an amazing person. Bianca, if you don't know her personally, you should. She's just amazing. She helped me. I mean, no, seriously, she helped me at a moment where I was, changing as well. Literally, I went fully freelance, and she was there with me. So, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, and I think with that, we are way over the hour. So sorry about that. But I know y'all have lives to go back to, and some changing to do in the legal industry, and I appreciate your time here. So I'm going to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. You all play an intricate role in this Let's Talk Paralegal season. And that's why I wanted to reintroduce you to season 2, because I know that you guys are really on that same road with me and really helping me push this train, plane, whatever vehicle of your choice is along. So thank you. And with that, have a good one.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Everyone.